Hey, this is Shelley with another episode of Evolve Women's MMA. For this episode, I'm going to go over UFC Houston's results of the strawweight division. We had 3 matches this past Saturday night, and also the up-and-coming featherweight match and why it is that these 2 fighters are fighting. And please remember to like us, comment, or share us on Facebook.com/I love WMMA. So yeah, what a flippin' awesome weekend. Started out Saturday night. UFC Houston with we had a few female fighters on the card. We actually had 3 fights, which was awesome as a women's mixed martial arts fan. The first match was Tisha, the Tiny Tornado Torres versus Bec Rawlins. Now that was a freaking all-out. Torres just kind of kept ripping on leg kicks over onto Bec Rawlins. And it ended up, a unanimous win. Torres won 30-27 and it improved her record, 8-1. It was an awesome fight. Both girls did super well. But and then we went on to the Angela Hill. This is the one that was the freaking huge fight, was Angela Hill and Jessica Andrade. Now Jessica Andrade came out like beast mode. First round, she was like crazy, just relentlessly going at Angela Hill. And it's amazing that she didn't knock Angela Hill out, because Angela Hill looks so slight, but that girl can freaking take a punch. And they went back and forth, and by the 3rd round, it was an all-out slugfest. Awesome fight. They got fight of the night. I think they both each got $50,000 bonuses, which is freaking yay! Love it when the girls make that. And now Andrade is maybe even in contention for possible title fight with Johanna, which is really to me that's a great matchup. And then the main event, the co-main event, was Felice Herrig and Alexa Grasso, and that went the distance too. And Felice ended up winning, unanimous decision, and it was a good fight. And it was great to see Felice back in there and talking about her year off and wanting to come back, and for her next match, she wants to kind of go with Paige Van Zandt. She'd like to have a rematch against her because she felt like, when she faced her, she wasn't in her top physical competing condition because of a really hard weight cut, and she wasn't feeling like she was rested and at her fullest potential. So she'd like to revisit that fight, or go after Michelle Waterson, which would be also a great fight too. So one of the things that was really cool too was seeing Amanda Nunes there at the fights, having a ball, tweeting like a crazy person, going having pictures taken, and finally settling into her championship belt title, being the champ and being referred to as the champ, and not feeling like, she's living within Ronda Rousey's shadow. So that was really, really kind of cool to see. So what's coming up, which is a little confusing after that major awesome weekend. Oh yeah, I have to get into it. It's like Sunday, the Super Bowl. I'm a Bostonian. It was a freaking awesome weekend and for Bostonians. We won the Super Bowl. So there was a lot of fighters that were down there that I'm sure actually went to the Super Bowl too. So you guys must have had a ball down there. I know back in Boston we were like going crazy, and I think there might have even been a baby boom going on back here after the fights. So I don't know, could have been. But anyways, back to women's MMA. One of the things that is coming up next week, which is a title fight for the Featherweight Championship. And to me, I was like, okay, this is the 145-pound division. And we have Holly Holm, great fighter, and we have Germaine de Randamie. And I'm like, okay, both awesome strikers, great fighters, great pedigrees, all that, but I'm like, they're both coming off 2 losses. I'm like, what is up with that? And I mean, there's been a lot written about it, but I really didn't know the full story. So, I'm doing some of my own, reconnaissance research on it to find out why it is this fight. It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, the elephant in the room is where's Chris Cyborg here? Where's Chris Cyborg Justino? And I'm like, how come she's not one of the fighters? And turns out, I guess after her September 24th fight, this in 2016, it was a very difficult weight cut for her because, of course, she went down to 140. And, the UFC's selling tickets, it's in Brazil, so they want a Brazilian down there. And it was a great kind of, catch weight for her. And, so they put it on that card, but it was a horrible weight cut. And if any of you have seen the video of her cutting weight, I mean, your heart goes out to this woman for doing that. And after the fight, she won that fight. But after that fight, the weight cut takes a toll on your body. And so she ended up under a doctor's care, been taking some what was considered not sanctioned, could be steroid, not steroid, but some an anabolic, no, actually not an anabolic steroid, but a diuretic. I'm sorry, a diuretic, and where she's had a history of taking a steroid back in, I think it was 2012. When I heard it, I was like, oh, damn, what the hell is she thinking? She's taking steroids again. What the hell? How could she get caught? So some people, you're looking at it, you don't do the research on it, but the bottom line is she took, under a doctor's care, this diuretic to help her recover from the weight cut that she took. And it was given to her for 90 days. But see, the problem is she didn't go through the what is it? The drug administration for the sports stuff. So she sadly kind of has got caught in this catch-22 where she may not be able to fight for the next year. It's still under, kind of an investigation, or they're looking at it or whatever. And it's kind of a bummer, but you're like, okay, so what she didn't do to get the fight was Dana, I guess, had offered her a couple of fights, I guess 3 times, different fights. Maybe it was for this card or another card. There was some confusion trying to put these cards together. And of course, the UFC 208 is in New York next week on February 11th, and I guess they were trying to put it together, and they had really nobody popping for that card. I mean, the Anderson Silva's on the card, but he's kind of on his way out. So and I guess the question too would be is Holly Holm and Germaine de Randamie, are they on their way up or are they on their way out? And so, yeah, it's a good matchup. They're still in the limelight a little bit, but, they both have had 2 losses and they're going for a title fight. It just doesn't, it doesn't add up. So there's other people in the rankings that probably could have been better, but I don't know why they weren't spoken to. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't ready to have a fight, in February. But I guess with the Chris Cyborg thing is, She wasn't ready until March. She just said, oh, could you just, push it out a little bit because of this 90-day clearance of getting, herself back healthy and able to fight again, and then do another weight cut to 145. She was talking like 24 pounds that she had to cut, which I think is a little bit over the limit of what a fighter can cut anyways, which is really, not good. So with that, the UFC needed to take into consideration that. I don't know why they just couldn't have waited for another card in March and put her on that and made it then. But then I started to look at it a little bit more. And I'm thinking, oh, well, if they have these two chicks fight now, okay, whoever wins, either Holly or, which I'll give you I have an idea of who I think will win, but I'll say that at the end. They have these two chicks fight, and they keep Cyborg on the back burner a little bit. Hopefully they'll get her in, because people want to see her fight. They've been dying to see it, especially in the UFC for a title. She should be the champ. She should be the one that's fighting right now, and it's just it's astounding that it's not happening. But I kind of get where she's had some trouble with the weight cuts. We've seen it in video, all that sort of stuff. But now it's like, okay, here we are, and how's this going to play out? For the UFC to make money, for us to see Cyborg fight, and to have a good contender, because right now I'm not sure. I mean, maybe they would be, but maybe not. Who knows? Who's going to be a good contender? And my feeling is Amanda Nunes would be a really great contender. And they're talking about Holly Holm. If she wins, she'll be like, one of the first to have, 2 belts, for females to have 2 belts in 2 divisions, which would be great. Really good to, put on her accolades and, her. But who's to say that's all that well? And if we really, as fans, care about that, I mean, I don't care about that so much as to see maybe somebody else like who could beat these girls, like Amanda, could definitely take care of Holly Holm, I think, and take care of Germaine. So she's already just said that she'd like to have a shot at whoever wins that to get the belt. That makes sense. Well, then who else would come in to have a fight against her, where they're kind of putting these other girls out to pasture or whatever, like Ronda Rousey? That's not going to happen. I think a lot of us wanted to see that fight, Cyborg and Rousey, but that's probably not going to happen. But this fight here, a Nunes and Chris Cyborg fight, whew, that could be a freaking brawl. And I mean, like a nasty, nasty brawl. 2 Brazilians in the freaking ring, just like fucking going at it. Like, could be really good. And being extremely tenacious. I mean, that would be a really awesome fight to see, I think. So, with that, getting into like the whole the weight cutting and stuff like that too, that's really been kind of a big major problem with women in the UFC or in Strikeforce or any of those other, in MMA. And one of the things that came up that was interesting in Chris's kind of weight cut, one of her, I think it was her nutrition coach, had put her on, birth control pills, which I think is really, I actually was kind of surprised by that. But then when he had his rationale about helping her not put on the weight gain before, because you never know, like, too, if you're training that hard, like she trains like crazy hard, like, I mean, her fitness regime and everything like that, which she goes and does all the daily is crazy. But the weight going up and down the scale is happens during, the monthly, her periods or whatever, and he wanted to control that. And according to him, he did. To her, she was like, she couldn't see it as happening right. And so during that period of time where she was cutting for that fight, it was like really all this kind of up and down, all over the place stuff, but kind of seemed like it was a bit experimental for them. And then she documented it, and to show the world that, yeah, this is really hard. It's not just me saying, you know, and trying to back out of a fight or complain about getting a fight. This is something that's really detrimental for me to do. And it should be to other fighters, and especially since I think there was, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, one person died from a weight cut and all that. So it's a big thing right now that we're looking at. My personal feeling is I cut weight one time and I thought it was horrible, and I only did 10 pounds, and I dropped 9 pounds in a month. And I'm like, they do it in 3 days or 2 days or a week or something, you know, like it could come right down. And I'm like, can you imagine dropping 26 pounds or 24 pounds in 1 day or 3 days? And you're an athlete, and then you got to go fight for your life in the ring. I'm like, and be in the top performance or whatever. I mean, thank God now that they have it, so you can be, you go and weigh the day before, actually 2 days before the fight, I think now. So you have a day of recovery, and then you can go in like on a full belly and fully hydrated or whatever, and then fight, which is much better. But it didn't used to be that way, and it's only changed in the last year. And part of it too is maybe looking at, you know, the documentary that she had posted, which I think is really a huge thing, and it'll help women and male fighters in the long run. Right now, it's still like, you know, up for, you know, they're looking at it like this diuretic thing that she took for 90 days, which if she's in recovery mode since September, it's okay. So you have just, you know, October, November, December. She really couldn't take a fight. I mean, she could have taken that this February 11th fight, but she only would have had like 6 weeks maybe to train fully, you know, like recovered, and then she had to cut weight again, like immediately after. So giving her what she wanted to fight was in March, and they didn't give it to her. They ended up setting it up with the other two, Holly Holm and Germaine de Randamie, which, you know, is, I'm okay with it, but it's not a freaking title fight. I'm still like, you know, I'm not up for it as being a title fight. It just makes no freaking sense in that it just doesn't make fucking sense. When you look at like all the stats and other people, and that they're coming out of 2 losses, who they fought, they're not even fighting like, you know, the top of the cream of the crop, you know? So it's kind of a little irritating that the UFC kind of didn't just hold off and give her or that division the same attention that it gave the bantamweight class, which I wish they had. I don't know. I don't know what their thinking was behind it, but it's kind of a bummer in that regard. And we're still hoping to see Cyborg, so I'm just putting it out there. I know I am. I know there's a lot of other fans that are too. We want to see her fight in the UFC for a title fight against a worthy opponent. So, you know, maybe these girls are getting some practice to go against her. I don't know, but it would be like a really awesome fight. So with that said, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to add to that. Oh, one of the things that I found that was really annoying, and I don't know when it was said or how long ago. It was on TMZ. Dana White came out, and Dana White has pissed us all off in the past, saying, oh, no, there'll never be women in the UFC. Well, yeah. And you know, now there is, and now we're going on our 3rd weight class division or whatever, which is awesome. But one of the things that he said too about Cyborg is he goes, you know, this is the 2nd time that she's been tested positive for, you know, drugs or steroid use or something that's not, you know, technically that they're supposed to be using. And he goes, I don't know whether she can come back from this we've got to see how things play out. But he kind of is implying that she might be done. I'm like, what? What? How can you even, I mean, I guess it kind of gets everybody's like, you know, up in arms or whatever a little bit, and kind of like, what are you talking about? Of course she wants to fight. Just be nice to her and, you know, kind of like, you know, make a freaking deal and make it work. You know, stop, you know, your end of it or her. She's got to be healthy. You know, think of the fighter. You always thinking of the fighters, you know, if they're making money or whatever. This chick is going to fucking make you money. She will make you money if that's what's really going down there. And, I mean, that's my 2 cents about it. But I'm sure other people will have something else to say or think about it, say after the February 11th fight, which is, you know, that's the other thing. It's happening in New York. It's close by, which is really awesome. And New York wasn't going to be having any fights there, you know, no MMA fights. So this is, I think, the second fight that might be holding on into New York, which is really, really cool. I mean, I'm in Boston. I could hop in the car, get tickets, go check it out. Yeah, but I want to see more girls on that card, though. Too, they're the main event, but they're the only ones on there. I mean, I know last week, you know, this past weekend we had, you know, three fights, 3 awesome female fights, which was awesome. But we'd like to have seen a couple more girls on that card. Yeah. So my predictions for that card, well, for that fight, Holly Holm, really good, really good striker, amazing. She's so focused, and she's a real pretty fighter. Like, her fights are, I mean, when she moves, like, if you're sparring or you're going up against somebody or something like that, it's usually sloppy. Like, you can practice techniques and stuff, but her technique is so pretty. It's, you know, you look at it and you're like, wow, there's precision behind it. There's, and to see that, well, also Germaine de Randamie, she also is super precise and nasty with elbows and knees. I mean, like, super nasty. And she's authentic Muay Thai. So I'm like, I'm going to go with her because, man, she's been at it a little bit longer, you know, and I think that natural instinct's going to come out. So it's a really, really good matchup. But I think in the end, it's going to be her because of, she's going to get nasty with knees and elbows if and the clinching, all that. And I think Holm has proven to be vulnerable to, say, if somebody gets her down on the ground or clinches her. Coming out of the clinch, she's really good. I mean, she's got an awesome freaking leg kick that you got to be mindful of. But I'm going to go with Germaine. And I think she's going to pull it off. And then you may hear some talk of maybe Amanda Nunes going up. And then maybe we'll see Cyborg. So like us, follow us, share us on Facebook.com/I love WMMA.